Hey, Arlo and Frank. Grandpop coming to you from the Vatican. I'm in the parking lot of the Azalea City Brewing Company. It's around sunrise, and it's 39 degrees here, so it's freezing for us Floridians, and I'm a Floridian now. I've lived here since 2010, and I don't like it when it gets into the 30s. I mean, it's not bad if you're bundled up and go for a brisk walk on the beach and then come into a heated house. But I'm boondocking, and I can't run the heater on my battery unless I turn the car on, and there's a van right next to me. It's also boondocking here, and I don't want to disturb those people with the chunk of the. So anyway, today we're going to be reading from the Enchanted Fairy Tale book again, and we're going to be doing The Little Mermaid. And without further ado, in the deepest, bluest sea lived an old sea king and his 6 daughters, sea princesses come to be known as mermaids. The youngest princess was by far the most beautiful. When she sang, no sound in the sea or on land could compare with the melody, but the little mermaid longed for the world above. And there she is, hanging out with the fishes. On her 15th birthday, on her 15th birthday, the Little Mermaid was granted permission to rise out of the sea and sit on the rocks in the moonlight. She watched as ships passed by. On one ship sailed a handsome young prince. When he laughed, the Little Mermaid felt her heart ache with a new longing. She was falling in love. Suddenly a storm wind blew. Lightning cracked. The sails on the prince's ship billowed. Great waves rose in the sea, pounding against the little ship and tossing it from side to side. The ship began to sink. Oh, so here she is. The little picture is her sitting on the rocks, and then here's the ship in the storm with the tattered sails. Tattered. The Little Mermaid saw her beautiful prince thrown into the sea. Diving deep underwater, she rescued the prince and cradled his head in her arms. Then she carried him through the stormy sea to the shore. When she reached the edge of the beach, the storm had calmed. She pushed the prince onto dry land and kissed the water from his face. But she couldn't go on dry land. And here's a picture of her rescuing him. And that's actually the way that you get somebody to safety if they're drowning. You kind of hold them around the neck and hold them away from you so they can't grab you and pull you underwater. The Little Mermaid heard someone coming. She dove into the sea and hid in the seaweed. A beautiful young woman rushed to the prince's side. "Well, aren't you handsome?" the girl said softly. "And rich, too, if I don't miss my guess. It's about time good fortune came my way." The mermaid watched with deep sorrow as the girl and her friends carried the prince away. So what's he going to think when he wakes up? But here he is with the prince he's getting ready to wake up, and the mermaid back on the rocks looking and being sad. The little mermaid returned to the sea kingdom, but she could think of nothing but the prince above. Gathering all her courage, she swam to the domain of the sea witch to find some way to join her love. It's never a good thing when you go to a witch. There's a story in the Bible that we'll be getting to, probably in a couple years, where the guy goes to a witch. I will give you what you want. Cackled. I couldn't read the word. It's a little dark in here. I will give you what you want, cackled the witch, but the price will be high. If this prince loves you more than all others, you will remain in his world. If, however, the prince loves another more than you, then on his wedding day, you shall join the spirits in the heavens. And for this bargain, you must give me the most valuable thing you possess, your beautiful voice. And there she is. The sea hag. Yeah. The little mermaid agreed eagerly. She fell into a deep sleep. When she awoke, she felt a strange sensation in her fin. But when she looked, her fin had been transformed into perfect human legs. Before her stood the prince, his clear blue eyes fixed on her. When she opened her mouth, she found she had no voice. "You poor, lovely creature," he said. Then he carried her to his castle. I hope she knows how to write. And here he is. Same spot, looks like. Although, no, I guess it couldn't be the same spot because it's his castle. He was on a ship. "What did you drag in from the sea this time?" said a horrible voice. The little mermaid turned to see the very girl she had seen the night the prince was shipwrecked. "This is my bride-to-be," the prince said apologetically to the little mermaid. "She saved me when my ship was wrecked at sea." So I never read this, and some of the things that I'm reading to you, I have read. Sometimes I read them beforehand, or sometimes I've just read them, at some point in time. I'm also reading the adult version of a lot of these stories. I'm reading Grimm's fairy tales, and I think eventually Anderson. And the kid version's a lot different a lot of times. But that's the plot complication here, is that she has no voice. So she can't tell her story. And this guy woke up, and this horrible woman was there saving him. So he's going to marry her. But it wasn't her that saved him. It was the little mermaid. Then the mermaid had come for nothing. The prince believed someone else had rescued him. She thought her heart would break. The next week, the prince had spent much of his time with the little mermaid. They rode horses together and laughed together. Although she tried not to, she fell even more in love with him. The prince's wedding day grew near. And here's the wife. And of course, the little mermaid is prettier than the wife, and they make the wife look not as bad as the witch, but a little bit witchy. Finally, the day of the wedding arrived. The bride-to-be had never shown the slightest kindness to the mermaid, and on her wedding day she was worse than ever. "You are only here because the prince feels sorry for you," she told the little mermaid. "After the marriage is final, I will not allow you in my place." So she's going to take over and kick her out. The little mermaid ran from the palace to the edge of the sea. There she cried, and she thought her tears could fill the sea itself. And the little picture is her running to the ocean, and then there she is at the ocean crying. The little mermaid felt someone's hands rest on her shoulders. She knew without looking up that it was the prince. "Please don't cry, my sweet." "Ooh." "I heard what she said to you. It's okay." He turned her face to his so she could look into his clear blue eyes. Then he continued, "Today has only made me realize what my heart already knew full well. It is you I love. I knew the first day the sea brought you to me." So it's funny. She rescued him, but he thinks he rescued her. And there he is, looking at her longingly. The little mermaid could hardly believe all that was happening to her. The wedding day went ahead as planned, only she herself became the prince's bride. The prince declared his vows of love, and they were pronounced husband and wife. They kissed, and at the touch of the prince's lips, the spell of the evil sea witch was broken. "I love you," the little mermaid cried to her prince, for the prince's love had restored her melodious voice. She sang the most beautiful love song imaginable, and she and the prince lived happily ever after. And here's kind of the same. You get the little picture, but the big picture. And here's the big picture. The end. Peace out, guys.